unless people bring up points like you just did, like this would never be in my thought process of after reading the Quran.
So if this
Not saying it's not in there, but
yeah, if this was in the Quran, would you still consider it as maybe the word of God? What are your thoughts on Muhammad specifically? His character? Do you think he's a good person? A true prophet of God? What are your thoughts so far on him from where you are right now?
that's a good question. Not entire. I mean, never met him, first of all, so I really don't know.
Okay.
Second, I would say, wait, could you ask again? What do I think of him?
Yeah. Do you believe he's a good person? Do you think he's a true prophet of God? Do you think has a good moral character, a good example for mankind to follow? What are your thoughts on him from what you know so far, if anything?
The most important thing that I have learned is apparently he's the one who didn't write the Quran, because apparently he couldn't read or write, but he received the Quran from an angel. So that's first off the most important thing that I know about Muhammad, is that he's the one who's basically in a way responsible for this book. I mean, if you believe that God told him the book, then God's responsible, but he's the human that's responsible for getting this book. And the whole point of the book is to worship and only ask God for help. So that's what I took away from this book, if I had to summarize it in one short sentence.
Okay.
So if he delivered that message, then he would be the reason that I got this, or God, but him.
Yeah.
So
okay,
it's changed my life and brought a lot of peace and serenity to me. So
you think you're under the impression that Muhammad came with the message that you're only supposed to, basically submit to God and God alone, and it's all about God and worshiping Him alone.
Yeah, correct? No, not the only one who brought that message, but
right. But you think that that's what he came with, like that's what he came with. Okay, so I'm gonna show you some things that I've seen. All right. So one, I'm gonna get into Muhammad's character. I'm gonna see if you agree with it. We're gonna get into some nitty gritty stuff, man. Gloves are coming off. All right. I'm also show you you did your push-ups, so you ready for this, man. You can take it. Yeah, there you go. There you go. And then so I want to show you a verse though. Can you go ahead, open the verse up, open the Quran up. I'm sorry. Go to chapter 4 of the Quran.
Chapter 4, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to show you that Muhammad doesn't teach that you are to only submit to God, but he also wants you to submit to him as well. Submit and obey him with no resistance. I'm going to show you.
Chapter 4.
Verse 65.
Let's see. Oh, I actually have it underlined.
Oh,
I don't remember off the top of my head. I haven't read it yet today, but you want me to read it?
Yep.
All right, here's my translations, chat. I'm in the Quran, chapter 4, verse 45. It says...
65,
yes, 65. By your Lord, they will not be true believers until they let you decide between them in all matters of dispute, and find no resistance in their souls to your decisions, accepting them totally. I don't know. I don't have to read that again. I don't know what that means. I also don't know why I have it underlined. Can't remember when I did that.
It means that...
Can I read it again?
Yeah.
So I can see if I can... Okay.
Go ahead. Let's see if you get it.
Okay. Chapter 4, verse 45. Here we go.
65.
What did I say?
You keep saying 45.
Let me get a sip of coffee real quick. Locked in. All right, verse 65. By your Lord, they will not be true believers until they let you decide between them in all matters of dispute, and find no resistance in their souls to your decisions, accepting them totally.
Yep.
So he's talking about, I'm assuming, haven't read the verses prior, he's talking about Muhammad.
Yep, talking about Muhammad. So talking about Muhammad, it says that you cannot be a true believer unless you submit to Muhammad with everything in your soul, completely and totally. You have to believe and submit to Muhammad in order to be a real believer in Islam.
I'm taking this as God is like telling Muhammad to say this to the people that he's with right now. Like, tell them that they need to let you be the decider of the disputes that are going on between them. I don't know what disputes are going on, but the disputes, and they should not resist basically you in leading them.
Oh, it doesn't just go for just at that point. It's for all time. That's what the Quran is.
But where does it say that?
But where does it limit it?
It says, by your Lord, they will not be true believers until they let you decide between them in all matters of dispute and find no resistance in their souls to your decisions, accepting them totally. I mean, I'm going off of previous verses in the Quran. It says Muhammad is nothing but a messenger. So he's not eternal. He can't be some eternal being or spirit according to that verse.
But his teachings and what he says is final and absolute. So if Muhammad has spoken on a matter, you have to submit to what he has decided on particular things, or what he said about particular things. This is why you have people who follow hadith, and
okay, I can see that this is evidence to follow the hadith.
Yeah, sure. So whatever Muhammad decides and orders, this is what you have to submit to what he says, what he has decided, what he's commanded, with full submission, totally in your soul. You cannot have any resistance in your soul to Muhammad. Not Allah, to Muhammad.
Okay.
You see that? So I just wanted to just show you an example in the Quran that is not all about God. It's about, I would say that it's both. That Muhammad puts himself up there with Allah. In a lot
well, I mean, if you believe that God is directly communicating with Muhammad, that makes sense.
But he wasn't, though. It was Gabriel, one. Number two, it doesn't make sense. It would make sense to say, if you don't, you gotta agree with God's decisions. You make God your judge regarding your disagreements, not Muhammad. So whatever God reveals, that's what you don't resist, right? But this says Muhammad, that Muhammad has to be their judge, that they have to submit to Muhammad's decisions with everything in their soul. They can't find any resistance in their soul and submit to Muhammad. That's what it says.
I mean, if he's the last and final prophet of God, according to the Quran, that's the stance. Then that would make sense to me to follow what he says.
Okay, so but I just want to make sure that you don't have this false idea that Islam is all about submitting to God and God alone. No, it's about submitting to God and Muhammad, both at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I used to say, after I read the Quran and then I went to a mosque for the first time, there was a bookshelf, and on the bookshelf my friend was like, oh yeah, these are hadiths, like sayings of the Prophet. And I was like, wait, what? There's another book? Like, I thought it was only the Quran. And I was thinking, okay, well maybe I'll be, I guess what you consider someone who only follows the Quran and not the hadiths. But this verse seems to be showing that if you do believe in the Quran, then you should follow the matters that Muhammad says.
This isn't about the Quran. This is about Muhammad. It says you have to believe in Muhammad. Muhammad. Not the Quran, not Allah. You cannot even be a believer unless you submit to Muhammad. You see what it says here? It says by your Lord, they will not be true believers until they make you judge in all the disputes and submit in their souls to your decisions, find no resistance in their souls to your decisions, and submit with full submission.
Yeah, I agree. I've read this verse before. Clearly, I have it underlined, but I did not know. Now I understand why Muslims are so adamant on following the hadiths.
And
that makes sense. I learned something new.
Yeah, but this is particularly Muhammad. So this is why this idea that they're all about God and monotheism and there's nobody equal with God and on the side of God, that's not true. Muhammad's right there in the Quran. So
what if I think that this could be proof. I mean, I don't know the context of what's going on here, but I think that this could be proof that we should, if you follow the Quran, that you should follow what Muhammad has, what is known to be said about him. But I guess the slight reservation before making that claim is, how do we for sure know that? I guess we could probably find out based on the context, but is he saying this for forever, or is he saying this right now? Like kind of like in the Old Testament of the Bible, where like an order from God to like kill this person if someone commits this sin. He wasn't saying for forever, because at least Christians don't believe he was saying that for forever, because he was only saying it for that time, like literally saying it to them.
Well,
How do we know? How do we know Muhammad's not like standing on a stool saying, "Guys, let me just
let me show you the difference. The difference is that the Old Testament points to a new covenant that's coming, right? So it points to the new covenant and the new law that we're going to be under. In Islam, this is it. So there is no new covenant that's coming for Muhammad or the Quran that's going to clarify some things or going to, oh, this was back then, now this is now type stuff. It's not that. It's not the case. So that doesn't help you. So you have here where
I don't disagree. I'm just saying that that could be an argument. I agree that it's the verses. I mean, you just read the verse that it says, you won't be true believers until they let you decide between them in all matters of dispute and find absolutely no resistance in their souls to your decision, accepting it completely.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, don't be fooled thinking that it's all about Allah, because it's about Allah and Muhammad. What about his moral? What about his moral character? Do you think have you heard about his marriage with Aisha?
Yeah, I have.
And you're okay with that?
So apparently, Prophet Muhammad married well, I guess it doesn't say this in the Quran, so I don't even know how this is. Where is this coming from? Hadith?
It comes from the Hadith, which is
what does
how
it say?
Which is how you know anything about Islam or anything about Muhammad at all. So here it is. Let me show you. So all I got to do, hold on, let me share my screen. All I have to do when I go to sunnah.com, come on. All right, so look, with sunnah.com, all I got to put up is 9 years old. Hey guys, respectfully, this is you guys got to pay attention to what's going on here. 9 years old, it already has it. 9 years old.
Sunnah.com.
Sunnah.com. I don't know why it's acting slow right now.
I can look it up on my end.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, go ahead and try that. Go to sunnah.com. But why is it? All right, here we go. Got it up. All right, it's on the screen.
All right.
All right, so this is Sahih Bukhari. So Sahih Bukhari, just to let you know, it's a book of hadith. Bukhari is his name, the guy who collected the hadith, right? Sahih means authentic. This is their second most authoritative book next to the Quran. Okay? In Sunni Islam specifically. In Sunni Islam, this is the next go-to. All right? So, what does it say? It says, I didn't do that. It says, narrated Aisha, that the Prophet married her when she was 6 years old, and he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old. And then she remained with him for 9 years.
What does consummated mean?
It means to have sex.
Okay.
When you finalize a marriage, that's how you consummate the marriage, is when you finalize it through sexual intercourse.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Prophet married her when she was 6 and slept with her when she was 9.
When she was 9 years old. And all of them say the same thing. Now, the only difference that you might see is whether she was 6 or 7 when he married her. There's a couple that say she was 7, but all of them say are consistent that she was 9 years old when he slept with her. Okay. So we're just gonna skim through. You're gonna see the same thing. 6 years old, 9 years old. Here's another one. Same thing. Same hadith. 6 years old when he married her. 9 years old when he, did the thing, had sex with her. All right. Same thing. 9 years old.
Okay.
All right. Here's another clear one. Narrated Aisha. Now this is what I was telling you about. 6 or 7. The Messenger of Allah married me when I was 7 years old. The narrator Suleiman said, or 6. He had intercourse with me when I was 9 years old. Okay. Married her when she was 6 or 7. slept with her, had intercourse with her when she was 9 years old. Now, let me show you that she had her dolls with her. She was playing with dolls still. Just in case someone tries to say, oh, she was mature. Oh, she was grown. What's the one about her dolls? Let me see. Took her to the house when she was 9. Oh, here it is. Aisha reported that Allah's apostle married her when she was 7 years old, and she was taken to his house as a bride when she was 9, and her dolls were with her. She used to play with dolls still. And when he died, she was 18 years old. Yep, there you go. So so you said you heard about this? This is what all the hadiths say. All right. Are you okay with this? Is my question.
Well, for the sake of the conversation, I'll assume that they're talking about the same years that we're talking about. So
Yes.
I don't know if, I mean, when was this recorded? Like 1,500 years ago?
1,400 years ago.
1,400 years ago, okay?
Yeah.
So if it was the same years, she was a little girl, or at least the 6 and 9-year-old girls that I see today are children, very tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems weird, and it's not the first time I've heard this. I've always thought that was weird.
Yeah.
I pondered this a lot. I'm like, well, when has God turned a girl to a woman? Like, when is she able to bear children?
Well, there are signs of maturity when she begins to reach puberty. Now, that's the beginning stages of her maturing, right? When she hits puberty, that's the signs that she is now beginning to grow and mature. Her body grows, her body develops, her mind develops. She becomes a young woman, and is able to bear a child. Now, everybody's different with the level or rate that they develop. However, gotta grow and mature. All right.
So God has made. I mean, I didn't make the rules, neither did you. God made it so that a woman can get pregnant after she hits puberty, which is defined as when she menstruates for the first time.
Not really. I mean, menstruation is not a sign that she's ready for sex just because she menstruates. Now, it's possible that she can get pregnant.
Ready for. Well,
but it doesn't mean.
But that's the purpose of sex, is for a child. So if she's able to have a child, then God has made it to where, if she's able to have a child and she wants to, then she can have a child.
No, that's not the case. That's not how that works, Grayson. Getting your menstrual cycle doesn't mean that you're ready for a child. Like, your body's not grown yet. Your body's not fully developed yet. This is why.
But if you can get pregnant, then.
So let me just ask you this: do you think that it's okay to sleep with a child? Let me just ask you straight up.
I don't plan on it.
I know. I'm glad you don't plan on it. I didn't ask that. Is it okay?
Well, what's a child?
Come on.
Is it okay? I mean, if you're asking me the country I live in, no, you'll get in trouble for that.
And that's about the country you live in. Is it okay to sleep with a child, Grayson? See, if you wasn't sucked in Islam, you would be able to easily answer this question. But because you're sucked in Islam,
well, no, not with a child. Should only sleep with a woman.
Okay, so do you believe that a prophet of God would sleep with a little girl, sleep with a child?
Well, what defines a little girl if she's able to get pregnant?
Let's say a 6-year-old, my brand. Is there any world where a 6-year-old or a 9-year-old is a grown woman?
I don't know any 6 or 9-year-old that can get pregnant. So, with what I've seen, no.
Okay, so do you think a prophet of God would sleep with a 6 or 9-year-old?
A 6 or 9-year-old girl who cannot get pregnant? No.
I didn't ask that. Let's say she can get pregnant. Let's say it's possible that she's bled before. Let's say she's bled at 6. Is it okay to sleep with her at 6 years old since she bled?
I'm not.
I didn't ask if you're not. I asked, is it okay?
For someone else to do this?
Anyone.
I've been taught that that's wrong, so I would say don't do that. No.
You say don't do that.
That's what I've been taught.
Muhammad did it. So
Well,
would you
what
be
defines
no
a
no
little...
excuses, Grayson? No excuses. Would you be able to condemn Muhammad for sleeping with a little girl?
If she was a little girl, yes.
Do you think a 6-year-old or a 9-year-old is a little girl?
The 6 or 9-year-olds that I see today, yes, they are little girls.
Okay, so Muhammad slept with a 9-year-old. He slept with a little girl. Will you condemn Muhammad for doing that?
If Muhammad slept with a little girl, then yes.
According to the sources, he did. According to Islam, that's who they're trying to tell you to follow. Someone who slept with a little girl. And said that God showed her him in a dream. Showed her to him in a dream. You're using God as an excuse for him to be able to do this. It sounds familiar, actually. It sounds like that's actually what a lot of pedophiles say before going to jail. Their excuse, a lot of their excuse, well, we're in love, or God told me, you know.
Yeah, I think if you slept with a little girl, I've always thought, of course, I mean, I say of course, but that's what we're taught.
Do you know how old Muhammad was?
No.
He was 54.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yes, it is weird.
That's pretty weird.
Yep. What if the Quran taught that this was permissible?
What? To sleep with a...
To sleep with little girls before they hit puberty. What if the Quran taught that this was okay?
Before they hit puberty, to have sex with them?
Yep. That you can marry them, divorce them, sleep with them.
Well, the whole point of sex is to have a child. So if the Quran says that it's okay to sleep with a girl before she can even get pregnant, I don't see why. That seems pointless.
Is it wrong?
Is it wrong to sleep with a girl before puberty? Yes.
Is it wrong to sleep with a little girl, period?
What is it? If a little girl has hit puberty, hasn't she become a woman?
No, she hasn't.
So when does someone go from...
You have any sisters?
Yes.
How old is your sister?
I don't want to talk about my sister's age, but I have 2 sisters.
Okay, are they young or older?
Both. Yep.
All right, let's talk about the younger one. High school, middle school? You don't have to give exact age, but high school, middle school, elementary?
She's younger than me. I don't want to say.
Okay. What would you say if a 50-year-old man came to her and tried to, take her hand in marriage?
Yeah. Well, if I was talking to her, I'd be like, why in the world do you want to be with this guy? She was like, if she wanted to, I would be like, what?
What would you
Why?
think of the guy who's trying to approach her, your little sister?
I would think that he's weird, that he should go for someone more similar to his age.
Would you think that he should be in jail and that he's a predator?
I would not. If I would do everything in my ability to not let them be together.
Let's say she was younger than what she is now. I don't know how old she is. Let's say she was in elementary. I don't know if she is or not, but let's just say hypothetically. And a 50-year-old man came and tried to spit game at your sister and try to get her hand in marriage.
Yeah, no, it's not even funny. It'd be weird. I wouldn't. I would just be like, why? Like, there's so many other people.
Would you break his teeth?
If he was forcibly... I mean, I guess I would first leave it up to my father, because I'm not...
Yeah, let's ask.
Father.
What would Daddy Grayson do? Would Papa Grayson break his teeth?
Yeah, I wouldn't let it happen.
Yeah, he would break his teeth in, cave his chest in, right, and probably report.
I mean, I gotta say, if my daughter has reached the age of, well, I guess I don't know when she's an adult. If she's like out of the house, I would, to a certain extent, let her do what she wants, but I would not want that to happen. Now,
Okay.
if I was funding her life and I was providing for her, I would be like, well, if you want this, you can leave, but I don't want to provide for you anymore if you want to do this. So now you're going to go and become a woman.
Would you
And
think he's a predator for going after a little girl in elementary at the age of 50?
yeah,
That's what Muhammad did. Muhammad's a predator. Right?
yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
You would believe that that a predator is a prophet of God who uses God as his crux?
Well, where does it say? I guess like the first time I read the Quran, and been studying it since, I've never seen verses about this.
Sure. Let me show you. Man, look.
I mean, the first time I read the Quran, like I'm not thinking, oh, I should go sleep with a little girl. I'm thinking, oh, God is real. I should fear God. So
Well,
now, if it does say it in here, this is something that I already have and will continue to take in information to continue to process what exactly this means.
Oh,
But it's
so
definitely not of my first. It's a concern. Now, I was basically an atheist, so when I understood, like, oh, God is real, Christian, atheist, now embracing Islam, like, oh, God is real, there is one God, and I'm praying to God, like, nowhere in my mind, unless people bring up points like you just did, like, this would never be in my thought process after reading the Quran.
So if this
I'm not saying
was
it's not in there, but
yeah, if this was in the Quran, would you still consider it as maybe the word of God if it was permitting child abuse?